When you're given a UI design, the strong temptation is to lay out the whole thing perfectly. And I'd like to try a different approach that I think is more in line with the principles of agility. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Quality Coding live stream, live coding, live mistakes, live looking things up about Swift UI. And there are a few folks here. I expect more will join later, but do say hello in the chat. It's good to have you. Hey, Nasi. Welcome. Hey, Al. Good to have you. Dan. Oh, thank you. Yeah, fresh haircut. Haresh and Mateus. Good to have folks joining from all over, really, and that's part of the fun of this for me. Hello, first-time chatter and subscriber. Thank you, Alkin. Alkin or Alkinka? I'm not sure how much of that to pronounce as your name. And if I call you Al, I'll just get you confused. Hey, Grant. But thank you. Thank you for subscribing and for saying hello. For those folks who are new, especially all these folks I think know who I am. I'm talking specifically to folks who are watching this non-live version on YouTube. Welcome. My name is John Reed. I am a technical agile coach. I go around helping companies. Maybe I can help the teams in your company get better at their craft. I put out a blog post. I didn't blast it out to my subscribers because I had already sent out an email about this, but I put it into a blog post of where will I be in 2024, because for a change, I'm going places, or I have stuff coming up that is public. And this week, I'm excited to head off in a few days to Agile Open Northwest. I've been there once. It was a fantastic experience. I'm really looking forward to getting back up to this really great and open conference. The first time I went was the first time I experienced an open conference. It is like magic. It's a conference with no set agenda. As you see in the somewhat blurry image there on this, I've made it big. It starts off with everyone seated all around, and then you propose agenda items. What's the conference going to be about? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to not present so much as discuss? Maybe you have a problem. Maybe you have a question, and you put those up on a giant board, and then people vote with their feet. And you can move around. You can go to one session and say, no, I don't think I am neither giving nor receiving in this session, so I'm going to go find something else. And you just move around. It is so cool. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to. Swift Craft is coming up. I will be teaching a full-day workshop, the skills you need for TDD. So that will be in the UK. And then my own public workshop through Industrial Logic. Sign up for that. So these are the things that are cooking so far. I hope to see some of you at some things. Hey, there are more folks here. Welcome. Say hello. All right. When I started the idea for this series way back when, I called it TDD in a Swift UI world. And then I started and I had to sort of rebrand the start because I realized we weren't going to get to Swift UI for a long time. And we didn't. We spent a large chunk of time setting up CI/CD in GitHub Actions and then trying it again in Xcode Cloud to see how to compare them. Oh, and I did also last time set up Xcode warnings, my XC config. I actually ran into a problem with this. Let me show you what happened. So, you know, in a preview, you come here and there's the lovely preview. So after the last session, I opened this up and the preview said, I can't render because your optimization settings are like, I can't work with that. I'm like, what? Turns out, so Xcode warnings, excuse me. Xcode warnings is an XC config file that I provide, and it sets a whole lot of things on. To get them to take, what you want is you set it in your in your project info configurations, and then wipe out stuff in the targets so that they take, so that the target doesn't override it. So it's set at the project level. And we end up with a whole bunch of, and I apologize for this being small, whole lot of warnings saying yes, as you see here. Yes, 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 an error. Yes, all the things, all the warnings, give them to me. In the process of saying, like, select up here and select all the way down here and delete, I inadvertently wiped out, where is it? Here, optimization level. Debug needs to have optimization none, and I inadvertently wiped that out. So that was a fix from last time. So we set up Xcode warnings, and now we are ready to draw the rest of the owl. Last time we started doing some story mapping, writing user stories, and it became a story map without my intending to, where things are broken out into short stories written in the role action context form, and things that are below this line, it's like, oh, and I'm copying this, not going to ship it, don't worry, whoever made this. I'm just using this as an idea place to copy your okay work here. Not bad, huh? For the game Mastermind. And things like showing ads below the line, below the line. Up here, we found what is still kind of the heart of the system. We got some accessibility things here that we might want to consider sooner rather than later. But the main thing is this. It wasn't even a post-it. It's the arrow of the turns or the rounds. I did also change a couple of these things where it used to say system advances to next round, system announces win, and I thought there's got to be a better word for that. In a game, it's a referee that is like keeping score, and it's a referee that is managing how the game flows. So I thought making this a referee would be helpful. So we have the player starts a new game, the code maker generates the code breaker constructs a guess, submits a guess, the code maker replies with the answer key that gives, like, how many you got right. And then the referee says, okay, next round. And if you win, you win. If you lose after 10 rounds, the referee says you lose. That's the idea. So Let's go. Finally. So I know. And I apologize for folks who got excited when I first announced TDD in a SwiftUI world and SwiftUI didn't come. Well, here we are, folks. Let's do it. So, given this, here's the screen. What would you do? And I think most developers, especially in a company where this is handed to you in some form, some UI layout thing like Figma, you start building this screen. And I'm going to suggest that that is not the best way to go, not the most agile way to go. Because what happens is nothing is going to work until basically everything is done. And that goes against the heart of agility. And with agility, we want to ship stuff ASAP. We want to get it into the customer's hands so that we can get feedback about how is this so far. So the technical practice that I want to lean into today and really focus on is called evolutionary design. In evolutionary design, the idea is we maybe don't do an entire game has all this complexity. Certainly, we can eliminate the things along the bar at the bottom here, the tabs. But the focus is on doing less so that we can get it out. Doing less. How can we do less? I just wrapped up teaching a bunch of folks at a major company, walking them through the beginnings of Mastermind. But I want to take us further than we took them. I want to lean into it further than I had them lean into it. So my question to you, if you don't mind this being a part class, is what can we eliminate or what can we reduce to make this simpler and still make it something that we could get to a customer? And the thing is, you got to remember, that means doing less. So how can we do a primitive whole, a part of this that expresses a piece of Mastermind? I'd really like to work on something where we get this turn-based system, because this seems really important. So instead of building up all this stuff, I want to go this way. Does that make sense? We want to have a vertical slice that goes through the system, not a horizontal. Well, in this case, it's pardon the directions. But we usually talk about horizontal slices because systems are often thought of in layers. So you got the UI layer and so on and so forth. But I want to cut through all that to try to express the system. So how do we do this? What can we eliminate? What can we simplify? Do you remember when I did FizzBuzz? When I did FizzBuzz, I might have started off coding a lot more. No, I did the heart of FizzBuzz in just a couple rounds. And the heart of FizzBuzz is to count, right? It's not the fizzing and it's not the buzzing. So the heart of Mastermind, I look at this and I think, let's not have 10 rounds, right? That's a requirement out here. That's a story. But what if we had fewer rounds? What's the minimum number of rounds we can have where it's like you come through and then you win or lose? One round. And participate in the chat as you have thoughts and ideas and questions. So I want to shrink it this way. Wonder if I can capture this somehow. Let me do this. There we go. Let's see. Let me change colors. Right, so I want to eliminate this and just have one round. That would be a start. If we could do that, then scaling that, as it were, becomes a much simpler problem. What else can we eliminate? How about how many slots there are? We have 4 slots. Or how many colors we have. We've got all these colors. What if we say, okay, so here's a trick question. What is the simplest possible game of Mastermind? The absolute dumbest game of Mastermind. And I think that would be Mastermind with a single color. Yes, that's dumb. We say no to things so that we can ship stuff sooner. Because if we can get it working with one color, I think we'll discover things. How about this? The number of guesses you get. Or number of slots, where the color goes. Here too, I want to say, you get 1 slot. You get one little piece. If you can put that in, you are the winner. That seems interesting to me, because that involves clicking. I can't touch my screen and have you see it. What a dork, John. Click the color, click where it goes. Maybe at that point, click the check button to say, how's my guess? And if that's the only color, you win. And so we would show an alert. See, that's a challenge. And how do we do that? Right. We quickly expand it to become something that is actually a game by having a couple colors rather than one. That's great. So that would be an awesome next step. Let's start getting this stuff down, shall we? I'm going to make a discovery tree, or I stick it in the discovery tree. Maybe no check button at first. Maybe it automatically checks when that's good. Ooh. Yeah, we can add the check button. When the reason that's a great suggestion is because if there is a flow happening and it works, and this is key to evolutionary design, is you have a primitive whole that works. It doesn't do very much. It's just a little baby thing. But you add functionality to it. As you add functionality, interesting. As you add functionality, you keep it working. And that taking something that is working and keeping it working is super important in extreme programming. Because it's so much easier than taking something complex, this whole screen, and saying, get that to work, and not being able to ship anything. So let's go with Grant's idea here. That's good. We're going to start one whole one color, one action. I'm just copying. And when that happens, let's think about what we want. We want it to show alert. We want it to show you win alert. I'm looking at the tree, trying to think about how I want to do this. So part of it is laying things out. I also wonder how much of this I can TDD and how much of it I have to spike, and I don't know offhand. We do have an action. There are a couple interesting things, right? Tapping the hole should show you win. I'm not familiar enough with Swift UI. You folks are going to help me with Swift UI because odds are you are more experienced with it than I am. So please, please, please help me. I did do a React Native project, so hope that experience helps me. Yes, we don't even have start game. It's just you launch it and you're playing. So let me, we'll leave those details off. We'll fill them in as we go and stay focused on one thing at a time rather than trying to build up a whole tree of like, it needs to do this and this and this. We're discovering as we go. All right, so let's start doing a little bit of layout and tap hole sets color. Okay, so that's part of what we want. We're also discovering our domain language. We've already spent a little bit figuring out some domain language you see here. We have player, we have code breaker, we have code maker, we have a referee, we have rounds, we have guesses, we have codes, we have answer keys. These are all things that I would like to express in the code. Ignacy, to display loop in the storyboard, perhaps we could use an arrow from referee advances to next round to code breaker constructs guess. I mean, yeah, that's what I have here, so I'm not sure. Yes. I don't know if you mean somewhere else, but that's what that means. This is a round. I'm just going to put that down as a piece of terminology. Rather than, I was thinking about, do I want to accumulate some of the language in domain-driven style into like a document? But let's get into Swift UI. I've been so eager. All right, so we want to do, let's go. Let's put this into action. In progress, we're going to start some layout, just some basic layout. And hopefully then we'll figure out a way to TDD these things. If not, we'll spike them. All right, here we go. Oh, the first thing I want to do is get rid of clutter. That's not doing anyone any good. And let's get the preview going. And let me commit that. Oh, that's all right. Hopefully it's... What to call this? I think this is... I mean, it's remove comments, but it is in the code. Push that sucker. Okay. All right. We want a color or something to choose, and we want a hole, a slot, a guess. I'm not sure what to call that. Let us begin. So if I have a V-stack, I don't even know what I want. Let's keep these things here for now. How about, it's going to be a button, a circle. What happens? Whoa. All right, here's part of the fun. I want it to be a circle that I can tap. So I think it needs to be, is this a button with, how do I get, help me, how do I get a button that's a circle? Not a title. And this might be, we can use a tap gesture. Use action label. I see. Button, action, we'll leave that empty. Circle on tap? Hang on, let me try this. Oh, that's the tap gesture you guys talking about. I think I'd like to go with a button, I think. We'll leave the action. Don't need button. Why would you prefer a tap gesture? And the other question is, how easy is it to test? You know, maybe I should get View Inspector in here. Let's start off. I partly want to be guided by, by what is easy to test. I am aware that there is another testing framework for SwiftUI. I haven't tried it. View Inspector is the older, so that's the one I feel inclined to use. Well, let's see how bad it is. All right. Here's View Inspector. Oops. Come back. Let us add View Inspector. That looks fine. Add it. And make sure you add it to the test target. You create a button by providing an action and a label. The action is either a method or a closure. Blah, 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 blah. Label is a view that describes the button's action, for example, by showing text and icon or both. And I have warnings. Shoot. Why? The other one, it came up. I forget where I saw it. I'll have to look it up and share what the other testing framework is. Well, this is a boo right offhand. Feature disabled. And I can't even see what's going on. Why am I getting this? I have no clue. Anyway, there's View Inspector now, but I've got to drive this down to 0. I'm not going to add warnings to my project when I'm just getting started. But let's add this. Let's see what it is. View Inspector, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And there's the definition. All right. This is an environment. Oops. This is an environment setup. So it is add View Inspector. I do not intend to add UI tests. Or if I do, I want one. And because I want to try doing this with TDD. But I'm still bothered. What is this? This is troublesome. It is one of the settings in here, and I don't know which one. If I comment them all out, and I guess we have to probably close and get this back up. Let's see if the warning goes away. It does. Oh boy. So it's one of the warnings, and I don't know which one. There's nothing about packages in here. Here we go. Let's set it back. Check logs tab, command 9. It used to be command 9. Oh no, it is command 9. Thank you. Binary disable. Oh, yeah, do binary search. I see what you mean. Thank you, Mudshark. And hey, good to have you. We've got 164 lines. I'm glad you're here. Let me just try like this set here. And is it not going to figure out that I've changed things and reload? And I don't know. So, boo, Xcode. I want... Okay. So it's in there somewhere. Let's get rid of this. Close. Reopen. Here it comes. Resolve packages. Come on. All right. These are commented out anyway. Boy, that really? It's one of these? Okay, I'm going to... Is it really one of this set? Let me confirm. Okay, I'm not buying it. I was getting warnings and now I'm not. So oh, I don't like it. Let me quit Xcode. Do I want to do that? Shoot, this really bugs me. You saw it, right? There were warnings there. Quit Xcode. I'm not happy. So we had a warning come and go. Sheesh. I don't like it. Oh, I don't like it. All right. Oh, so here's a cool thing. Yeah. Cool thing about View Inspector and about Swift packages. View Inspector, something that we often say about microtests that are written really thoroughly in TDD style is that the tests are executable documentation. And it's rare to see that it's actually true in a shipping project because the Swift Package Manager brings in the whole thing, including its tests. And we can go in here and we can start poking around and saying, well, what can we do with gestures? What can we do with button tests? And we can look at the examples. For example, here's an action. Let's see, enclosed view, resets modifiers, search. Here I was looking at the code and I should have been looking at the test names. Test tap. Here's a button with an action that fulfills an expectation. Label doesn't matter. And it's not disabled. And we do a button tap and that should just fly through. So that is one way we can do this. The other way is to see what we have for gestures. Tap gestures. I think I'll do that on my my own time, not yours. But good idea, Grant. Nuke and try again. Test tap gesture. Empty view. With a I'm less familiar with the gestures in Swift UI. Snapshot testing, and I presume you mean in the usual iOS sense, is comparing, like rendering a view and comparing it, and that's great for seeing if it looks the same. And I have thought, especially when Swift UI first came out and there was no view inspector, that you could awkwardly use snapshot libraries to test functionality by saying, at least, does it look different? For example, in our case, does tapping actually set the color of the circle? Oh, and how do we test that? This would be much easier. Now let's start from the assertion backwards. Let's see if we can't figure out what the color is. Because here's the thing about TDD. It took me, I wish I had read when I first started TDD. Why didn't I read Kent Beck's TDD book, Test-Driven Development by Example? I guess because I was being exposed to Kent's ideas and writings, and the other folks of the OG, through the stuff on the wikis and where I was reading all this stuff about extreme programming. And I wish I'd known from the beginning to start from the test, start from the assertion and work backwards. So let's try something. If we have content view, actually, let's not even do content view. Let's see if we can't make our own view inside here. If we have a oh, it sure wants to do a bunch of stuff. Okay, hang on. All right. Turn off the previews. If we want to have a circle with a color, let's come back here. What I want to test is, how do I know what color it is? How do I set the background of, how do I fill? Here we go. Fill style. Oh, come on. All right, I'm now showing, you are seeing live. Oh, sorry, Alkin, you're I keep new folks from being able to post links. So even though you are a subscriber and such, I'm gonna have to approve you before you can do that. Dave Farley talked about UI testing in TDD a few days ago. He suggested a layer between the UI and the code. Absolutely. We will get there, but I want to extract that layer out from the UI and work backwards. And part of this is driven from how I'm inverting how I normally would TDD something, which is by driving the model. getting Mastermind to work and getting it all sort of in a nice command line thing where all the business logic is in place, and then sort of slap a UI on top of it. I want to invert that and say, let's start from the UI and work backwards. So if I have a fill, how do I fill a circle? How do I get a circle to even show up? Okay, how do I make it red? Color? Fill? You start doing what everyone else does, right? I'll try that out. Sorry, Alkin. Don't let the auto moderator. Oh, there we go. Don't let. Oh, I triggered Siri for some reason. Don't let it kick you out. If it does, I'll let you back in after the session is done. Okay, so if I have a circle, how do I get to it? How do I test that this is red? This is what I want to do. So this is spiking, and I want to check this in. This is known to be broken or can't check now. I mean, basically, it's a spike. So, I'm really experimenting. So the question is, how can we, okay, forget this thing. How can I get at that content view? Let's see how. Create a settings object that you get the color from. Can we create a state variable? Y'all are running way ahead of me. I want to see if I can tell from a test what color the circle is. The idea being, I want to start, let's see. Instead of test 0, is test circle is red. I want to test this. So if we create a content view, oh, thank you, import view inspector. And I don't know if there's a way to do this. Color tests. Extraction from single view container. Now that's looking for a color. I was doing a search, quick search there to see if I could find circle anywhere. But let me show you, back up, John. the rough idea. Let me put it in make content view, find circle, test test that fill color is red. This is what I want to do. Can we do it? And this is also where chat is probably not going to help. Remember, ChatGPT has been out there mining everyone else's code. Maybe. But I want to know. Yeah, this is the first bit of fighting with the old UI kit driven John Reed that you know. Let's bring these up side by side. Hello? I said let's bring them up side by side. Okay. I'm trying to remember how to do things. Okay. Let's start turning this into code and let's see how far we get. There's content view. Let's see if that passes. Ooh. Mateos comes in. Let me make this bigger. Whoop, bigger. Bigger. View, inspect. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to remember. I've forgotten how this works. View, inspect, text, background, color, value. Hey, let's just copy that. So we want to inspect for the circle. Will it provide a circle? Text is uh-oh, there may not be a circle. I'm searching through View Inspector. You're going to see me do this a lot, I think. Inspect, find, circle self. Oh, man. Y'all rock. Let me set this back so that I can keep a copy of it. Okay. Thank you, folks. So this is the magic list of what View Inspector is able to inspect, and it looks like it doesn't know circle at this time. So can we instead find it by some other means? Thank you, Dan. What was it? Inspect, find, circle self. We may not be able to. All right, let's move in steps here. Can I do that? Great. Do a find. Yeah, if circle isn't provided, it's not going to get there. So I may have to add a tag, like Mudshark says. Finding. This is harder, but I want to be stubborn about this. The whole point of doing a code kata is to learn, and we certainly haven't gone very far today. But another thing to remember is that in TDD, the first test is the hardest. Sounds like a song. The first test is the hardest. Circle is a shape, is a view. Try to write a model. I want to try to keep the models out at first. I really want to see. Oh, here comes. I want to try to make it so that the model comes into existence when we want it, not sooner. Normally, I would totally do this, Ignazi, what you're suggesting, and saying, forget it, let's just cut down to like a domain layer of a view model or something that's easy to write tests with. But we are here to battle Swift UI, and battle it we will. Let me bring back this. All these things we can try. Button, color. Is there a shape? There is no shape. Find circle self. I mean, let's try it. Nope. All right. Well, folks, the adventure begins. And this is going to be tough going at first. Use button with background. Right. I just want to see what's in there. If I have, say, a button, the problem is we want to be able to get at this somehow. And maybe we can get there with an ID. Except I don't know, even if we get there with an ID, will it be able to find the fill? By the way, thank you so much for the suggestions. Keep them coming. Shape and fill style are in the readiness list. I missed shape somehow. keep coming back to that link there. I should have just kept it up. Shape has a number of things, including fill style. All right. So a nice thing about View Inspector, it used to be that you had to sort of walk through the stack and recreate it from the test and say, give me the VStack, give me the thing inside of there, and until you can target the specific view that you want to ask questions of. Find now makes that the problem with that is that you have very brittle tests, right? The tests would break if you change anything, if you move anything. But with find, you can just say, find the thing, wherever it is. I don't care where it is. So let's do one more experiment before I call it a day. And that is if I can just sort of give this an ID somehow, tag. I don't even know what tag is. Oh, it doesn't like that though. Give it an ID. No, doesn't like that. I could give it an accessibility ID. I don't know that I want to give it an accessibility label. Here, accessibility ID. Oh, that's why it's messing up. Sorry, let me back up. It was the placeholder text. I need to type my own thing there. Okay. So let's see if we can't find that. No, it doesn't like it. After fill. I guess ID starts to lose information at that point. Okay, so can we find, can we even find it? An interesting thing about View Inspector is that, oh, why can't it? If the test to find something is the test. If it fails, it throws an exception, and that's why it does the try. But what's wrong here? Should we run the app with the debugger on and check how the view is laid out? I'd like to avoid that. I'd like to avoid the debugger. Well, what's wrong with find here? Find view with ID. ID. Let's see if this works. Okay. We have some success. Having found it, can we get the color value? We cannot. Can I get the color? Cannot. Single view content. Foreground color. Let me try that. Fill style. Let me try Mudshark's thing first, and then we really ought to wrap it up. Okay, so that does work. All right. This is going to take a little monkeying around, and you've given me a few ideas. I think probably what to make this effective and good and interesting and helpful and fun, I'm going to keep playing, and I'm going to take your ideas that you've put in the chat, and I'm going to try various combinations of them and see if we can't get this first damn test to work. And yes, I know this is why people prefer view models and such, but I wrote this thing. I want to see if I can't test things the way I would like. Yeah, I'll be seeing Paul at in the UK. That I don't know. He's a busy guy. So, thank you very much for joining. Well, that's a wrap for today. Thank you for your participation in the chat. Always valuable. We got some ideas rolling, and we'll see where it goes. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, subscribe so that you can know when these videos come. All right. Oh, check, not ask Paul, you even look stuff up. That's a great idea. All right. All right. Many questions, many unknowns, a rough beginning. The first test is the hardest. So stick around, come back next week and see if we can make more progress. And we're working on, right? We didn't waste time laying out a whole bunch of stuff and then say, how can we test it? Start with the test first. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.